Hi, I'm Pete Burak, and welcome to Cathlist. You all know who the Swiss Guard is, right? Fearlessly protecting the Pope in those immediately recognizable uniforms and halberds for those really big spears. Those uniforms were designed by Michelangelo, by the way. Free fact. But do you know why the practice of using only the Swiss Guards came about? Well, in the 1500s, Swiss mercenaries had a pretty legit reputation. They were excellent soldiers, known to be undefeatable and unfailingly loyal. In 1506, Pope Julius II requested a contingent for his personal protection and the defense of the Vatican, and so it came to be.
Make it so, number one.
Their most significant military action to date occurred in 1527 during the sack of Rome. It's quite a while ago. What have they been doing all this time? 147 of the 169 Swiss Guards were killed defending Pope Clement VII, but ultimately escorted him to safety. In the modern day, 110 Swiss Guards protect the Pope. Despite the showy uniforms, these guys are a professional, modern military force. To be a member of the oldest active military unit in continual existence since 1506, you must be Catholic, Swiss male, who is over 5'9", with a sterling reputation and a hardy jawline, and robust shoulders. Those aren't true. And previous service in the Swiss military. Despite its infamous neutrality, the Swiss do indeed have a military. And that, folks, is just one of 4 weird Catholic rituals and practices we will be covering today on Cathlist. So, stick around. Many people may know that during Lent, Catholics abstain from eating land animal meat on Fridays, instead eating fish. I had always heard that the origin of this practice was it was instituted by a pope to bolster the Italian fishing industry. And now it is used to support the Knights of Columbus. Just kidding, fellas, you're doing great work. But as it turns out, that's just a fish story. Get it? Because like fish. The real story is that the tradition of fasting on Fridays, and not only in Lent, was in place as early as the 1st century. When the no meat concept was added to the general requirement of fasting, the stipulation was to abstain from warm-blooded animals. Fish are fair game, and technically so are creatures like bugs and reptiles. One of these Lenten Fridays, I'm going to surprise the family with grilled rattlesnake with a side dish of crickets. Anyway, the desire for fish grew naturally out of this meatless requirement, not to mention the expansion of meatless days to include Wednesdays, Saturdays, and other holy days. This widespread consumption of fish may have been instrumental in shaping global politics and geography. There's even evidence to suggest that some of the early explorations west from Europe across the Atlantic were driven in large part by the desire for cod, which could be preserved as far tastier option than traditional European standbys of herring.
A herring!
Also, Henry VIII influenced the fish-eating tradition when he broke away from the Catholic Church in 1534. Fish-eating, since it was associated with Catholicism, suddenly became political. Fishermen really started hurting as citizens deliberately avoided the popish flesh. It took an act from Henry VIII's son, Edward VI, to finally reinstate fasting practices. For the benefit of the Commonwealth, where many be fishers, use the trade of living. That's how he sounded. Exactly like that. The Catholic Church has a long history of venerating relics of the saints, which I'm sure looks really weird to those unfamiliar with the practice. Notice I said venerate, which means to show great respect and even reverence for, but not worship. Relics are divided into 2 classes, business and coach. No. First-class relics are physical body parts, usually bones or hair, of saints and the tools or pieces of instruments used to kill martyrs. Second-class relics are items that have come in physical contact with the saint, like the clothes they wore or holy cards touched to the first-class relics. Miracles are often attributed to relics, not because they contain magical properties, but because God continues to work through these elements of the saints' lives, just as he worked through the saints themselves when they were living. The Bible contains some evidence of relics. Elijah's cloak in the Old Testament, which Elisha used to part the river to cross on dry land, and Elisha's bones, which raised a dead man to life when he was hastily laid in Elisha's tomb, and Paul's handkerchief in the New Testament, which healed diseases when applied to the afflicted person's skin. It's like, be healed. You're welcome. Throughout church history, and even today, relics of the saints are often maintained and displayed in reliquaries and treated with great reverence. If this seems weird to you, think about someone keeping and displaying an urn with a loved one's ashes, or keeping a possession of a deceased loved one as a memento, or a token to stay connected to them in some way. Some of you are still like, you know what? That's weird too. To which I say, fair enough. Scapulars. No, this is not a millennial slang term for being cool. Tyler, you're so lit. Your Instagram is totally scapular. This is a scapular, and it's worn like this. Iris. And it's worn like this. How's my hair? Good? It originated with monks who wore a shoulder-width piece with a hole for the head that hung down both sides of the body. Originally, it was used more like an apron as monks went about their work. I was going to say, went about their habits, but that's too punny, even for me. When the laity began forming confraternities, like Kappa Kappa Kappa, with different orders, they reduced the size to a small square and wore the scapular under their clothing. The Church currently recognizes 18 different scapulars, each characterized by a color, devotion, and obligation. Collect all 18 and you get a free set of steak knives. So there you have it, 4 weird rituals and practices in our beautiful Catholic Church that you now know about and can tell all your friends. Thank you for watching Cathlist. Tell them about us too. Don't forget to check out the links in the description below and hit that subscribe button to see more videos like this. As always, there are outtakes at the end of the video, so stick around for those too. Click here to learn about Ave Maria Radio, and click here to learn about the Young Adult Outreach I direct. And if you're wondering why it's not working, it's because you're on a mobile. So get on a computer and then you'll be able to click the links, or just go into the description. I'm Pete Burak, and I'll see you next week. God bless. I just have like this hankering for cod. Dude, man, cod. Cathlist. Cathlist. Twist cod. Relics of the saints were often maintained and displayed in reliquaries. Darn it. There's always one word. Reliquaries. Reliquaries.
Yeah.
Reliquaries.
Yep.
Got it. I can't do it in front of the light because then my lighting is off. And we wouldn't want that.